Right, okay. Did we get there? Did we get there? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you wherever you may be in the world. Sorry about the delay. Please, by a show of hands or some notifications there, just let me know if you can hear me okay. I do apologize for the delay. So if you can let me know that you can hear me, so I know I'm not speaking to myself. Yes, yes. Mattis, hello. You can all hear me? You can all hear me. Yep. Just a few more. Any confirmation? Yep. Coming through loud and clear. Great. How are you doing, my friends? It's been a while. It's been a while. So I thought I would make my entrance with a grand with a grand sort of entry, but yeah, kind of fell flat on its face. But no, it's all good. This is a new direction for the channel. There's a lot to unpack today because I haven't been around for a while, but there's a lot to unpack and uncover. Live streaming is something that I really want to get into in a big way. I find that live streaming is a great way to, you know, not only do videos on the fly, but it's a great way for me to interact with you. Also, you'll notice that I've haven't released videos for a long time. It's a long story, which I'm going to get into. Everything I'm about to tell you is very positive, but I've had to make some changes. So what's happening in today's show? Well, if you stick around me for the next hour or so, I'm going to try my best to keep you entertained. I know that there's a lot of things fighting for your attention these days, so I appreciate you for being here on a Sunday evening. Well, it's Sunday in the UK here, and wherever you are in the rest of the world, please feel free to, say hi and make yourselves welcome. So on today's live stream, I'm just going to start off with telling you with what I've been up to, what's happening with the channel, but we've also got some very exciting news. We have a Depeche Mode photography book coming out. As you know, my longtime partner in crime, Mr. Brian Griffin, we are releasing a book entitled Mode, and that is very, very soon. We're going to have the stock very, very soon, probably within the next few days, fingers crossed. So we're going to go into some more detail about that, and also how you can get hold of a copy if you missed out on the Kickstarter. We're also going to talk a bit about Mesh. Obviously, I've just been recruited by the band Mesh. And of course, our favorites, Depeche Mode. We're going to talk about Depeche Mode. I'm going to reflect on a few of their live performances, the tour they're on at the moment. And then, of course, I also want to tell you about the Will Sargent interview, which is coming soon. Will Sargent, obviously the guitarist from Echo and the Bunnymen. I'm honored to say that I will be interviewing him along with my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Griffin. So there's a lot to unpack. So before we jump into it, let's have a word from Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Griffin, and I photographed those first 5 album covers by Depeche Mode. Well, with great demand for my artwork, I'm thrilled to share this offer with you. For the first time ever, my artwork is available to the masses for an affordable price. The complete collection of my artwork is now available at vaughangeorge.com. Well, you can join the club of hundreds of satisfied devotees all over the world. These fabulous poster prints look great everywhere. Like it could be in your bedroom, could be in your kitchen, could be in your living room. In fact, anywhere. Well, from the original negatives and the transparencies, these poster prints are absolutely the best you could find in the world. All the images are personally signed by me. Go on and treat yourself. These are the perfect gift for yourself or your friends or your family. I'm Brian Griffin, and I'd like to welcome you to the Poster Print Club.
Thank you, Mr. Brian Griffin, for that informative and rather long advert. Here they are. Of course, if you're new to the channel, this is the only place in the world where you can get these original Depeche Mode album poster prints signed by Brian Griffin personally, and they are delivered to you anywhere in the world. If you're interested, you can go to vaughangeorge.com for all the information there. So, As I said, there's a lot to unpack at the moment. We're going to get into the Mode book just now. For the question I saw popping up there asking how much the Mode book is going to be, we priced them at they were priced at £40 for the Kickstarter. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much boring detail. I just want to sort of give you the meat and bones as to what's interesting for you. But for the remaining books, as I say, the Kickstarter, you folks who ordered your books on Kickstarter, you obviously get priority because you obviously funded this project, and your name will be included in the book as well under the thank yous page, and then they'll be dispatched to you as soon as we get the stock. Now, to the rest of you who haven't had a chance to order, we've tried to be as accommodating as possible, and we have got a limited amount of books available, which I'll get into later, and they will be priced at £50 is what we're looking at. So it's a little bit more than what they were in the Kickstarter. But and as you will see once I explain the book to you and show you some pictures, it's a beautiful, beautiful book that is, so much love and attention and care has gone into it. So just going through my list of things to do, I want to just quickly say hi to, if there are any Mesh fans watching here at the moment, and just make a shout out to the Mesh fans and the Mesh community who have really taken me in and opened their arms and made me feel so welcome. Yes, so to answer the questions, the people, to those of you who have asked me, am I part of the band Mesh now? Well, Mesh are essentially Mark Hockings and Rich Silverthorne. So I am now a part of the band so far as the touring band is concerned. I mean, because Mesh is essentially a duo. And, it's how we move forward with that, I'm not sure, but I am open to everything. As I said, with my, I don't want to say with my busy schedule, I don't want to make myself sound really important. I mean, we've all got a busy schedule. I've been asked by many people since I started the channel now, people sometimes ask me to join bands, do collaborations and stuff, and whereas some projects sound very exciting and interesting, I have to turn them down just because of time restrictions and stuff. But of course, when Rich called me, Rich Silverthorne from Mesh called me in the beginning of April, asking me to go on tour with them, just to do 2 shows in Germany, because I was standing in for one of their keyboard players. I didn't have much time, but I thought, okay, I'll do it, because it's not often you get to perform with a band that you like, because I am a fan of their music. And after doing those 2 shows in Germany, Plague Noir and Halle, I got a phone call the next week and asked if I'd want to join. So the rest is history. So I'm very happy to be a part of the Mesh band now. And we just come back from Germany now, and we've just done a show in Maraluna. So shout out to all of you who were in Maraluna. Maraluna is kind of like a gothic festival. You've never seen anything like it. I must say, really, really well organized, and just a really, really great festival. But yeah, and you can see by the slideshow here on the screen, these are just some of the professional photos that were taken at the Maraluna performance. We were only told, about 3.5 weeks before the time that we were going to be, on the stage at Maraluna, and we were going to headline, and didn't give us much time, but it was a lot of fun. And what follows now is just a little bit of behind the scenes video footage. What you're about to hear now is basically it's kind of raw audio, because it's really recorded from the stage, but it'll give you an idea of kind of how the vibe was at the gig at Maraluna.
Nice. Right. Your song now. Nice. Bit faster if you want.
Right, so I just had to share that with you guys. Wow, what an emotional night. I have been thrown in the deep end with this band. I've already done 5 gigs, and although I'm pretty experienced in with performance. I've done piano bars and I've played in bands and all stuff like that, but I've never performed to audiences this size. So it has been a baptism of fire. But also it's been like a real dream come true, because you're dealing with real professionals, and the fans love the music, and I love the music, and it's just a wonderful experience. So to all of those of you who were there, thank you for that. And to those of you who are not Mesh fans yet, I can promise you we will be coming to a town near you, because if I get my way, I want us to play as many gigs as possible. And of course, I'm just a new boy. I can't I can't push things too much, but I'm very enthusiastic. But I can have a positive impact on the band, I feel. I love the fact that I've been allowed to, just so far as keyboard and synthesizer sounds go, I've been allowed to sort of do my own artistic expression. It's not miles away from the kind of vaulty stuff I do, so it's just been a lot of fun. So anyway, I'll probably do some videos on this on the Geek Talk series for those of you who are interested. I just want to move on with that. Also, if you are a Mesh fan, you will know that I just went to Bristol at the end of July, and I filmed some in-depth footage with Sean, Mark, and Richard, and I will get that little mini series out as soon as possible. So keep watching. And if you haven't checked out Mesh, check them out. Certainly one of my favorite bands of the genre, and it's an honor to be playing in a band that I'm a fan of. Okay, moving on to Will Sargent. Now, Will Sargent, as you know, is the guitarist of Echo and the Bunnymen, and arguably one of the most famous people I've ever interviewed or about to interview. He's just released his second book, and this interview will be a discussion with him and also a discussion on the second book. But the interview will also be with Brian Griffin. Obviously, Brian Griffin did 4 album covers for Echo and the Bunnymen, the 4 best ones. We love Brian and we love his artwork. So that interview is going to take place while we're recording the interview. It's booked in for the 29th of August. And then Brian and I, it's basically going to be like a three-way chat. A little bit like the Only When I Lose Myself video, if you guys saw that. It's going to be a three-way chat, so it'll be myself, Will Sargent, and Brian, just talking about Will's new book. We'll talk about Echo and the Bunnymen, and I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to sort of ask leading questions, because it'll be interesting to listen to the conversations between two legends, Will Sargent and Brian. And I'm sure you guys won't want to miss that. And also, I'm happy to say that this interview is not going to be on Zoom. It's going to be in person. I do sometimes I haven't done interviews in a long time, but I do sometimes do interviews on Zoom. It's not really a fan of it, to be fair. I always prefer personally to be in the room with someone. To me, interviewing someone on Zoom, it's kind of like having sex with a condom, or it's like drinking non-alcoholic beer. It's just cut. It's just not the same thing. Anyway, so this is an in-person interview with Brian Griffin and Will Sargent, and I'm very, very excited about that. Right, let's come on to the Mode book now, and I just want to pull up a few slides, actually. Oh, there we go. And this is what it looks like. This is obviously it's not a photograph of the book. This is a mock-up, sort of like an artist mock-up of the book. And the mock-ups will be, are pretty accurate. But you can see beautiful, beautiful book, cloth sewn. And also I'm not an expert on books, but I know that this isn't glued. It's sewn. So when you open it, when you open it up, it kind of opens. Sort of with cheaper books, when you open them, they glue and they kind of break. But this one is sewn together. We spared no expenses, Brian and I, when we, put this book together. It was great. Although Brian and I have done business before, like with the poster print business and stuff, I've never released a book with anyone before, and it was interesting to do this with Brian, because he's obviously he's obviously very experienced at this, and the man's work ethic is just wow. I mean, he just worked so hard on this book. So as you can see there, it is beautiful. We did sort of we had to make a decision. What do we do on the front cover? The obvious decision would have been to put a broken frame on the front cover, but we decided to go with Black Celebration. And the interesting thing was, if you've been watching my album review series and listening to Brian Griffin's conversations and the interviews we've done on the album covers, you will know that Brian, in some of the documentaries, said that the Black Celebration was, in hindsight, probably one of his least favorite of all the album covers. But it nevertheless has become an iconic image in itself. So we've decided there, as you can see it, to make that the front cover. And the book is very straightforward. We've gone for a very classical sort of font and everything. We have a fantastic design team. It is the same team that also did Brian's previous book, Black Country Dada, and that book was very successful, so we got the same team back for this book. So there it is. It's really a must-have for fans, really. It's 25 by 25 centimeters, 25 by 25 centimeters. I don't want to repeat myself, but so much went into it. It started off, we wanted to make it bigger, then we wanted to make it smaller. But how long's a piece of string? When you start off with something, it's like when you start a song, you can go in any direction. So you have to cap it somewhere. But then of course there are also what usually is a huge factor with things like this is the cost of things. Brian and I did right from the word go say that we are not prepared to do something that's not going to be high quality, for the sake of our reputations and for the respect of the fans. We want to do something that's really, really high quality, and I'm pleased to say that well, what do I say? Not pleased to say, because obviously there was we got the funding, but a lot of that money we got from the funding has gone into the book. We haven't spared it. We haven't cut corners. This wasn't a sort of like a a money-making operation, although, of course, we do need to, make a profit from it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we could have made more money from it if we had made a lesser quality book. But then also that we feel that the price point we've gone to is very reasonable as well. So this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful book. Hoping, fingers crossed, to be showing you the physical copies within the next week or so. Don't quote me on that. But according to our printers, where the book has been manufactured, they did give us a 5-week wait time, and it has been about 5 weeks now. So hopefully this week, fingers crossed, as soon as I get it, I will jump on here on the Vaughan George channel with Brian, and we will hold the book up and you can see it. Now, for those of you who would like to get a copy still, look, guys, everything I do is, I never want to sound like a salesman, and there is nothing to... Something like this, it doesn't need forcing. It's not, there's no sales pitch here. It is just a beautiful book. If you want it, it's there. We're not forcing it upon you or anything like that. But it is, I think, a must-have for fans. Now, for those of you who would like a copy, please send me an email at info@vorti.com. If you look up above here, you will see the email address. That's my email address, info@vorti.com. Simply send an email and put the title as Mode and just go, "Hi Vaughan, please put me on the list." What I'm going to do then is I've got a list that's growing, and as soon as we get the books, I'm going to email everyone and say, okay, look, the books are here, with a link to vaughangeorge.com where you can purchase your copy. Now, please understand there are limited copies, so if you send me an email and I send you a link, that does not guarantee you will get one. Just send me an email, and if you're interested, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Not much to say on the book, really. I think we will just wait to see it. As I say, beautiful, beautiful design, and it's put together by a great team. It also features a very in-depth section on a subject which a lot of Depeche Mode fans don't even know a lot about, and that is the Only When I Lose Myself section. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that probably last year I did an interview with Roger Burton and Brian Griffin regarding the production of Only When I Lose Myself. And interestingly enough, I still get Depeche Mode fans who are hardcore fans. Often will say, "Oh, they thought Only When I Lose Myself was done by Anton." They just assumed that Anton did all the videos. But Only When I Lose Myself was obviously Brian Griffin did that music video along with Roger Burton, who did the costume design, and Roger Burton has actually contributed a very, very tasty section to the book where it's kind of like his diary and journal entries of the filming of the music video back in 1998. It was released in 98. I think the production was in 97. So a beautiful book, beautiful photos covering all Brian Griffin's photos with Depeche Mode from 1981 to 1986, with all the photos you've seen and a lot of photos you haven't seen, also with scans of the original negatives and transparencies, and you will get to see all the photos that were taken. And then it's interesting once the photos are, it's interesting to sort of see the transparencies, because you can go, oh wow, how did they decide which one should go into the album cover? And it's fascinating. Just looking at some of the transparencies that Brian puts up there, you'd sometimes look at some of these photos and go, wow, I think that photo is better than the album cover. It's interesting. So, hey man, get yourself a copy. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Also, we are having a launch party for this at the end of September. More details will come very, very soon. And this launch party is basically like an opportunity to meet Brian and myself, and mainly to meet Brian and Roger, obviously. I will be there as well. And this will be held at the Horse Hospital in London. If many of you, if you're not a Londoner, the Horse Hospital is quite literally a horse hospital. It was a hospital where they, it was a hospital for horses. It does what it says on the tin. And our launch party for this book will be at the end of September. We'll give you the date and everything soon. And then you can come down and meet us there. And, you can, and we'll let you know later on if you want to collect your book in person there, and then Brian can sign it for you there as well. Also, what will be featured at the Horse Hospital, which is completely unique, and you guys know I like to bring things to you that are unique, and I don't want to brag, but I think this channel has brought things to the party that other channels haven't. And something that's going to be unique at this event is going to be Roger Burton, who is the costume designer of Only When I Lose Myself. He will be speaking about the costumes and the costume design for the Only When I Lose Myself music video. But he will also have some of the original garments and props there, like the clothes that the people in the music video wore. So come along. We'd love to meet you. We've had 2 successful events so far. In October last year, we did the meet and greet with Brian Griffin and Gareth Jones, and that was very successful. And wow, we had people flying from all over the world: America, Germany, Canada. We even had some lazy Brits coming all the way from North London. We know the Brits don't like to travel. And then, of course, just recently, a few months ago, we did the event at the Strong Room with Gareth Jones, where we did the breakdown of the multi-track stems of Construction Time Again. And once again, we had people flying in from, like Jeff Roll, hello brother, flying in from America, and people flying in from all over the world. So I'm hoping this will be another event, this one at the end of September, for the launch of Brian Griffin's Mode book. But it's really just an excuse to have a party. So I'd like to meet as many of you there as possible. Okay, let me just take a few messages here. I would value your feedback sort of at the end of this. As I say, I want to incorporate live streaming into the channel. I think it's a great way, to be sort of interactive, sort of like, and just call it VG News. So it's kind of like a, like a live vlog kind of thing. But I also want to keep it focused, and I don't want to waffle on too much. I don't want to be attacked by the off-topic chicken, who we haven't seen for a while. So just going to take a few questions here. Violator90 says, do you ship to Sweden? Yes. The book will be shipped anywhere in the world. It will ship anywhere in the world. Of course, the postage costs will have to be covered by you, the buyer, and that is unavoidable. Unfortunately, Brexit has given us a hard time here in the UK, so I'm conscious of that. But understand that we have made every effort with this book to keep the cost as low as possible whilst not compromising on quality. So yes, it will be shipped everywhere in the world. Steve Blair says, been dreaming of Mesh as a support act for years and years. Europe 24, support not announced yet. Oh, you mean you've been dreaming of supporting Mesh? Well, send me a message at info@vorti.com, and send me if that's what I can understand. Is that what you're looking for? Just send me an email. I can only make the introduction. I can't promise anything. Right, so I'm just gonna. If you got any questions on anything, guys, please feel free to ask now, because that is what the idea of this live stream is to interact with you. While you're getting your questions up and running, I want to say a very, very, very big thank you to my my locals at watchvg.com. Watchvg.com is a sort of like an inner circle. You can find that at watchvg.com. This website features really in-depth versions of the content on this channel. So when a video goes up on the YouTube channel, you would typically, the idea is to have a more in-depth version on watchvg.com. It is a subscription site which starts off for the price of a cup of coffee every month at $4.99 and then $4.99, and then you have higher tiers where you also have piano and keyboard tutorials. So do check it out. I want to say a big thank you to my supporters there at watchvg.com. I understand I haven't uploaded things there for a long time. Without going into too much detail, I had a health scare a while ago, which has been scary, but I'm fine. I've just had to really. This is why I've kind of been off the radar for a while. I've had to change the way I do things. And so if you just bear with me, just give me time to get back into my rhythm, which is what I'm doing now. And I want to say a very big thank you to my inner circle there at watchvg.com, the VG locals, and we will be doing some insider live streams and video chats. I'm looking to do one, not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. But I'll give you guys some info on that on the site soon. Right, I think what else we have to cover there. Okay, so I think I've really covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover on this. Oh, and of course we've got to speak about Depeche Mode. Of course, Vaughan. I'm always expected to speak about Depeche Mode. My favorite band of all times. Sorry, Mesh. But yeah. So I just want to pull up my slides there. So Depeche Mode are on tour at the moment. I believe they are taking a little bit of a break now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been paying that much attention. But I believe that the second leg of the Memento Mori tour has now come to an end, and they are busy taking a break. In fact, I'm just going to pull up depechemode.com here and just make sure I have my facts right. So I'm going on to depechemode.com. And if you tap on tour, I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm just if you tap on tour when you get to depechemode.com, it just goes to leg 3. So it appears now that they've I know they've just sort of come through Eastern Europe now. I know there was a show recently in Estonia. Tere tere to all the Estonian fans there. And I know they played Poland. So it looks to me the next show, well, according to their website, is leg 3, and that is the North American leg once again, and that's on the 21st of September. So that goes to show they have they're taking a break now. Is that right? But I mean, if you look at this tour, it's relentless. I don't know how many dates they do. I mean, Depeche Mode, well known for being a touring band. This is how they became very, very famous. This is how they become. This is how I think Depeche Mode have that sort of godlike cult following. Godlike, it's a bit extreme. This cult following is because they do believe in the, and I like to use the idea, boots on the ground. Now that is not my saying. That is a saying from Mark Hawkins, the lead singer of Mesh. He uses that term, boots on the ground. It's quite a dramatic. It's quite a dramatic thing to say. It's like, boots on the ground, like soldiers, and it's a very military term. But when Mark Hawkins talks about boots on the ground, he talks about it's indeed what Mesh did. It was like they've been around for a long time as well, and the importance of playing live. And it's certainly Depeche Mode really understand the importance of playing live, even back in the 80s and during communist times, and with the Berlin Wall and stuff like that. They would play on the other side of the wall where other people wouldn't play, and it was because of that they've got such a huge cult following in Eastern Europe, places like Hungary, Russia, the Baltics and all those places. So they do really, when they tour, they really, really go on tour. So that's why they kind of take a break. They have these. That's why you have these 4-year breaks typically in with Depeche Mode albums, is because really, you're in the studio for about a year producing the record, and then you're on tour for another year and a half, and then you're probably taking off for another year and a half. So, I mean, God, it's relentless. But I hate to be cynical. Let's make lots of money. They're making a killing, and it reminds me of that. Was it the 101 documentary where they just like putting? I mean, this was back in 87, 88. The world was a different place then. Some of you weren't even born then. It was a lot nicer back then, believe me. But I'm remembering that scene on Depeche Mode 101 where they've got like these boxes full of cash, and they just like, that's what they were doing. They were just taking cash, and you seeing them empty boxes and stuff. So Mr. Kessler's had a great taste of that, and hey man, this band are more than just a band. They're an institution. And as I do remember that one of those guys on the 101 documentary who was a fan, he said something like, "Oh my God, I would love to be their accountant." I don't know why I'm doing an impersonation of him now, but he did say, "Oh my God, I would love to be their accountant." Yes, indeed, I'd love to be their accountant as well. If you just look at these shows they're doing, also when I went to see them recently in Twickenham, here in the UK, here in London. If you've not seen that video, check it out in my video history there. I gave a in-depth review, and I was very, very impressed. I really, really think they've upped their game since the last tour, and I was very, very impressed. But it was interesting to look at the size and the scale of that. I'm not a huge fan of outdoor, festivals. I prefer indoor performances, because you just for atmosphere and you don't lose so much sound and light. That's another story. But nevertheless, regardless, I mean, I was just amazed by the scale of it. Because obviously every performance they bring in their own kit. They've got their trucks. I think everything goes into about 10 trucks. So they build the stage from scratch for every performance. It's the same sound system and everything. And this is great because if you're a musician, you would know that no matter how well prepared you are always at the mercy of a shitty sound system. So, of course, when you're on the level of Depeche Mode, not many of us get to that level. You have the bonus of having your own sound system, which you can take with you, which is it's a killer sound system. Sound system's not even the word; it's just otherworldly. Anyway, I'm going a bit off topic. The point I'm trying to make is when I was at Twickenham and I was just looking at everything, I was going, "Oh my God!" It really blew my mind, and what made the fact that it blew my mind even more is that I had just come off a festival tour with Mesh in Germany at a festival called Plague Nord, and that was pretty epic. But this was about 10 times the size. So with that in mind, because remember when I was on the stage at Plague Nord in Germany, I was like, wow. When I hit the keyboards and it's like boom, 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 and all that sound goes, whoa, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, ooh, feeling of power. But then I thought to myself, Plague Nord is like tiny compared to Twickenham. That was massive. And then I was just thinking, and they're doing probably 3 shows that size a week, so they're playing stadiums of between probably 30 and 60,000 a night. Yeah, I can see why they're doing it, because the bank balances must be very, very good. And also, not being cynical, good luck to them. It's when you are on tour, every musician knows this. When you go on tour, you need to play as many shows as possible. You can't build a huge production like that and then only play 3 shows, because as you know, when you go on tour, your first few shows you make no money, because you're recouping costs. But I'm sure by now they've recouped their costs, and I'm sure they're well into the green now, and I'm sure they're enjoying it as much as the fans are. I do often think, people sometimes have said, mustn't it be boring singing the same songs over and over? It probably is, but it's definitely from all the footage I've seen so far. I haven't seen a sort of like going through the motions kind of thing. I think Dave Garney's just, I've said this before, I think he's the most outstanding frontman in the history of electronic music. I think it's probably not an outrageous thing to say, because I can't think of, there are many great frontmen, but I just think Dave Garn's just like, he's kind of like on the level of Jim Morrison, if you know what I mean. He's just on that godlike level. Anyway, let me just see if there's any questions that anyone wants to ask. Yeah, greetings from California. Hello, hello back to you as well. Lee Newcomb says, will there be any other events taking place in the Ship and Well? Yes, well, the Ship and Well is local to us here. So we like the Ship and Well. I shot one of my music videos there, and I love the staff that run it. They're wonderful people, and they're Depeche Mode fans. Actually, the chef is it's run by a Polish team, and we all know the Polish people are probably the most hardcore Depeche Mode fans in the world. I think it's between them and I don't know. I don't know. One of you is going to say no, the Germans are more hardcore, but no, the Poles love Depeche Mode, and the Ship and Well is run by a Depeche Mode, a Polish Depeche Mode. They are Polish, and they are Depeche Mode fans, and they're huge fans. So yeah, the Ship and Well is definitely a venue we will be doing stuff at again in the future. Baisa says, good evening from Bulgaria. Hello to you, sir. Rebecca says, what did you think of Depeche Mode playing But Not Tonight in Bologna? Yeah, I think, Rebecca, if you've watched my videos, you will know that But Not Tonight is one of my favorite Depeche Mode songs, and I sometimes get a bit of hell for saying that. In fact, if you look at one of my previous videos I've done not long ago, well, I haven't posted videos for a while, but one of my most recent videos was I did a piano interpretation of But Not Tonight. I always, when I listen to music, to me, it's always about the melody, the production and everything. To me, the melody is kind of like, it's like if you're cooking, it's like you can have, if you don't have quality ingredients, like if you don't have good chicken, it's not going to be good. So I guess you could say the melody and the song is kind of like the chicken. So it has to be good quality organic chicken, and the rest is all just spice and, presentation and stuff. But I often used to think that But Not Tonight is a beautiful song, and then people would go, it's not that great. But then I said in one of my videos, in 2013, I was in the O2 here, and Depeche Mode performed, or Martin Gore sang that, and Peter Gordino played it on the keyboard, on the piano. And I remember people were in tears because it was just so emotional. It was beautiful, and I just thought, there you go, people. That's exactly what I meant, and that is why I'm always on my channel. I often break things down onto piano, because it is so important. If a song can stand up, just on a piano, then it's a good song. And if not, But Not Tonight is definitely an absolute gem, and I have seen it being performed live quite a few times. Interestingly enough, someone asked me the other day if I saw Strange Love being performed, and you would think Strange Love would go down well as a piano ballad, but it didn't. I don't think it really went down that. To me personally, I don't think it. I think if they were going to do Strange Love again, I'd like to hear the full sort of band version. I just didn't really do it for me acoustically. But if not, but Not Tonight sounds amazing on acoustic piano. Jeff Roll says, greetings from stiflingly hot Virginia. Hello, brother. Yes, I was just talking about you. Yeah, stiflingly hot. Well, it's stiflingly hot here in London today. It's over 25 degrees. We're lucky when we see the sun here. Natalie says, Tere from Estonia for you as well. Hello. Tere. My fiance is Estonian, and my daughter is, well, obviously she's half me, half my fiance, and it's quite funny. I have been told I need to learn Estonian now. So my daughter now, who is 18 months old, she and I are both we're both learning Estonian at the time. So it's quite funny. So we've got like these picture books, and like her mother will go cat, kas is a cat, and I don't even. It's a very difficult language. The bottom line is my daughter and I are both learning Estonian at the same time, and she's going to beat me because it's a very difficult language to. I'm good with languages, but I found it very difficult to learn. I can say in Estonian, for any Estonians watching, Palun mulle tais kohvi. Palun mulle tais kohvi. Please, may I have a cup of coffee? That's the most important thing to learn. Anyway, we're going horribly off topic here now. His Grinning Skull says, what's your favorite album after Alan left? Yeah, well, you guys know my feelings. I think when Alan left the band, the dynamic of the band changed a lot. I think my favorite album after Alan left was probably Ultra. I think Ultra was a very, very good album, and I do still enjoy it. I pulled it. I listened to it again a couple of weeks ago for the first time in a long time, and I just thought, wow, it is a great album. So yeah, my favorite post Wilder album would probably be Ultra. Model 3 Dude says, I wonder if Depeche Mode may change the set list after returning to the US. I think they probably will. You know, it's a difficult thing because when you put a production on, you want some degree of reliability. You know, you want things to, you know, to be consistent. You know, especially when it's a production that size. If you're doing smaller gigs and smaller shows, you can wing it a bit and stuff. But you know, due to the size of these productions, I think there has to be a lot of predictability in place. You know, just for the sake of the promoters and the band, and because there's a lot of money involved in this as well. But I think a lot of fans sometimes get. I've seen fans talking on Facebook groups and stuff saying they're a bit bored with the sort of setup. This is the sort of this is the good thing and the bad thing of the internet. You know, back in the days before the internet existed, you didn't see footage. Now everyone's uploading footage every day from every band they've seen on YouTube, and it's interesting to see every show. But you know that they are fundamentally the same. It's the same running order, same intro, but they have a few numbers they change. Typically in Martin's acoustic set, I know he chops and changes a bit. But yeah, and of course I know a lot of you are annoyed. Some of you have said that it's fundamentally the same gig as the Spirit Tour, and I've said this before, it's difficult when you're doing a live show. Yeah, you've got logistics, and you can only do about 22 songs, and then the more your catalog grows, the more songs you've got, and then you've got to when you're touring, you've got to try and promote the new album, but at the same time you've got to keep the fans happy. But then you've got to do the non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are songs like Never Let Me Down Again, Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, Stripped. I mean, those typical songs that everyone always wants to see. I mean, this band are Depeche Mode are too big now. I personally prefer seeing bands in venues that take 2,000, maybe 4,000 people. Depeche Mode are coming back. They've added a fourth leg to the Memento Mori tour now. They're coming back to London at the end of January. I think they're doing 2 shows. Is it on the 22nd of January and another one? And I should get the dates. But they're actually doing 2 shows in the O2 now. Now, if you've been to London, you'll know the O2 Arena. It's quite a famous venue worldwide, actually. Let me just get those dates, actually. It's the 4th leg. My God, there's just it's just exhausting. Just all these dates. Yeah, so they are coming to 4th leg. So yeah, so the 3rd leg, which they're going into now, that's going to end with the last show being Los Angeles, California on December the 17th. Okay, and then they're back at the 4th leg, and they're back in London. So yeah, they're taking what's that? About a month and a half off, and then they're back into it. So yeah, the first show, which starts the 4th leg, is at the O2 Arena here in London. That's the Sunday. Sorry, the 22nd. I believe that's a Monday. And then they go 24th. They go to Birmingham, up the Midlands, and then they come back to London on the 27th. And I thought, why not just do 2 in a row? But obviously they probably couldn't book it, because the O2 has shows all the time. So they're basically in London on the 22nd, and then they're off to Birmingham, and then back to London on the 27th. And then they're doing Manchester on the 29th, and then they're off to Glasgow. Oh yeah, and then they move up back into, looks like back into Europe again, Scandinavia, back Germany. Yeah, Germany gets 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Prague. Yeah, I mean, sorry guys, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah. I do like. I did see them in Twickenham. The only downside to it, as I say, I'm not a huge fan of festivals, although I love the atmosphere and everything. The problem with playing festivals in the summer is, the sun is shining till 9 o'clock sometimes, and so you really only get the benefit of the lighting on the last five or six songs. So I would love to see them in the O2 here. Also, the O2 is smaller. Twickenham was about between 50 and 60,000. The O2 here in London, I believe it's 12,000. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's about 12,000. But also, it's in an indoor. So I would love to. I think the opening track, My Cosmos Is Mine, I think a lot of the atmosphere is lost. If you're starting it when the sun's still shining. So I would love to hear. I want to see this show inside. With the where the sound and the lights are contained, because I think it'll have a lot more atmosphere. So I shall get myself to one of those shows, the indoor shows. Right, let me just take a few more questions here. Nash says, 007 Nash L says, I was really disappointed there was no program for this tour. Yes. There isn't. Yeah. There's no programs, are there? I went with a friend here in Twickenham, and I got a goodie bag with VIP tickets. And I got a goodie bag, but you're right. There's no program. Rebecca says you were at Twickenham and you got tickets for both the January shows. Wow. Hardcore. And there has been I think I did a video a while ago on the ticket prices, because a lot of the videos I sometimes do, although I haven't done videos in a long time, my apologies, but I like to sort of see what people are talking about and make videos based on those subjects. And I think the ticket pricing was an issue, but then again, this is not Depeche Mode. This is really an issue for a lot of bands. I know Madonna had that recently, where people were just going, how much? I did see some witty bastard left. They took the lines of Ghosts Again and they rewrote it. I've screenshotted it somewhere. It was hilarious. It was something comical. It was something about wasted feelings, and it was the chorus went something like, we know we'll be broke again. It was something like credit cards screaming. It was written in a kind of rant way, sort of reflecting on how expensive the ticket prices are. I mean, I don't want to get into this because it's a long story and I should do a video on it. I think the whole ticket price is, it's the whole, and I don't want to get political or into economics here or anything. I'm no expert, of course, but it's a supply-demand thing. If people are prepared to pay it, then they'll pay it, and then the supplier can. But I understand that. I understand that as an artist myself and as a fan. I'm an artist, but I'm a fan to other greater artists than myself, and I understand the whole. Don't screw the fans kind of thing. Be respectful to the fans. So sorry, I've got notifications kicking off here. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional. Okay. But I never said I was a pro, did I? Not after my intro today. John says Ticketmaster is really ripping off the fans. Yeah, I mean, I should actually do a video one day on, because Martin and Dave. Let's take Martin and Dave, who are the remaining Depeche Mode. They don't have any control over what the tickets are. A lot of. I think a lot of people probably don't know this, but they don't book the shows. They have management, and then you'll have a promoter that books the shows. There's a whole chain, and then they just show up, and then they do it, and the promoter makes the money. They take the risk, and then it's a long story. I think it does warrant a video. So I never like to. Sometimes I've seen like on forums and stuff, people saying, kind of having a go at the the band personally, or whether it be Depeche Mode or just saying, oh, they're ripping fans off. It's not them; it's more their management. However, in saying that, I know Taylor Swift, I think, just digressing slightly, I think she did make a stand on ticket prices and stuff. So as I was kind of saying it, I thought to myself, well, they can actually influence it to a point. But then again, I think, if someone says to you, you can make this much, why would you not take? Everything counts in large amounts. Why would you not take the maximum of what you could get? Anyway, I get the whole dilemma, and I get it. But okay. So let's take another few. Violator 90 says, ticket pricing in Europe is reasonable in your opinion. There we go. Depeche Mode on fighting for their fans versus Twickenham the way Robert Smith did. This is true, actually. Robert Smith and The Cure. There's a band that give their fans great value by doing 3-hour concerts. Yeah, I think Robert Smith was another one who did have a go at spoke out about ticket pricings and stuff, because there are a lot of sharks in this industry. Pomelo says, I disagree, Vaughan. The bands can decide not to accept Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing. Yes, and as I was saying there when I was talking about it, saying Dave and Martin have no input on it, but then I thought, hang on, they can have some influence, and just as Taylor Swift did and Robert Smith. So it's a slippery slope, but you got to put yourself in their positions, and this is why. Okay, my brain goes into many different channels, but this is why, just randomly speaking, this is why I didn't enjoy the the Spirit album, when people were saying, oh, it's such a cry for the people. I'm like, no, it's not. You can't call for a revolution when you're broadcasting from a mansion in Santa Barbara. Sorry, Martin, I love you, and I and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's a bit like a lot of these like Eminem, or a lot of rappers, they came from the street and stuff, and they had their message, and then people would, as they started living the life of the high life of the high life, a lot of people would say, oh well, you're not one of us anymore, you're part of the establishment. So slippery slope, guys, slippery slope. But I like to sometimes go where others do not want to go. Yes, Jeff Roll says that Robert Smith got the prices for the Cure ticket prices reduced. I did see something like that online, although I didn't go into too much detail. So I suppose the artists do, and of course it makes sense. I mean, the artists can actually have the final say. They could, I suppose, they can't just stand in the back and not have anything to say about it, because they can actually say, hey man, we want reduce the prices. And for argument's sake, if Dave and Martin said we want to reduce the prices or we're not going to play, I mean, would they do that, or should they do that? That's an interesting question. Here we go. Conrad Gibbons says, some Dublin tickets for January are over €400. Oh my God. €400, but that's probably like Golden Circle. And the problem with these stadium events is, even when you're in the Golden Circle, you're fucking miles away from the stage still, because it's, But anyway, you're never going to be able to see Depeche Mode in a 1,000 venue or a 2,000 seater venue. They're just far too big. Violator 90 says €90 for standing ticket is reasonable. I pay. Yeah, I think that is reasonable. I think that is. It is interesting if you just take a calculation off. If you do, and just the way my brain works. I used to be a purchaser for a music retail store, as you guys know. So I've got this thing. I'm always think in figures. I'm always calculating in my head. So, for instance, when I was at Twickenham, we do like a mental calculation of, you said, okay, there's about 55,000 people here. You times that by, let's say, an average of, some tickets are the cheapest tickets being about £90, and the most expensive ones being, what were they, like 500? I don't know. And then you just do like just do an average, maybe say times it by 175, or it's probably less, probably more like 140 or something like that, and you times that by 50 just to get a ballpark. But then you've got to calculate the costs, the hire of the place, the staff, everything. It's interesting. I find it interesting. I find it very fascinating. Hello, yeah, Newman's on again. Hello, Newman. My witty Newman. He says, Newman says, I will only go if they have a hologram of Alan on stage. Now that's quite an interesting idea. I don't know, have any of you been to see the new Abba musical? I haven't been to it, but I've heard it's amazing, the way they pulled it off. So you could arguably do that. It does lean a little bit into the whole artificial intelligence thing, which is another story. Sean Muir says, high life is a South African saying. Is it? Is high life a South African saying? It probably is, but yeah, it's probably... I was born there and lived there many years, so I'm guilty as charged. So, yeah, the dynamic pricing seems to be a real sort of issue for some of you. It's a bit of a contentious thing, a contentious issue, the dynamic pricing. Rebecca says, I want to see Abba Voyage. Very interesting idea. Abba, actually, some of you might be surprised to hear this. Abba is one of my favorite bands of all time, all times. Abba have gone to influence every band. I mean, even Vince Clarke, Erasure, Andy Bell, they talk about, there was Roxette, and loads of bands will talk about how they're influenced by Abba. Even bands that are very cool will say that they were influenced by Abba. Abba are outstanding. One of my favorite bands of all times. Absolutely. Right, guys. So I'm going to start wrapping this live stream up. I didn't want to be all day. I just wanted to reach out, connect with you. Please leave your comments. Let me know what you think of this live stream format. I just want to do it a little bit more, probably at least once every 2 weeks. It would be nice if we could get it onto a weekly thing, like every Wednesday or something, just depending on demand for it. It is also easier to do a live stream than to create new content sometimes, but it's a great way to connect with you guys. And the live streaming is never a replacement for creating content, just as creating content is not a replacement for live streams. I think the balance is good, but it's good to be back, and I'm trying to get the balance right. So just to recap on the bullet points on everything here. God, I sound like a nerd now. Just to recap on everything we've said here today. The Brian Griffin Mode photographic book will be with us soon. If you're interested and you'd like a copy, then please send me a email to info@vorti.com, and I will get your name on the list. And that's up here, info@vorti.com. Email me there. That's it, really. And then there's the Will Sargent interview coming up later. And then at the end of September, we will have a party in London at the Horse Hospital where we will release the Brian Griffin book. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for your support as always. My apologies for being off the radar. There's lots happening, but it's all good. Happy to be back. Leave your comments below. And I'm going to play you out with a song. This is from my latest 1984 EP. It's a concept album, and this is an instrumental track called Trigger. I'm going to play you out with that. I look forward to seeing you on the next live stream, live event, or the next video. Thank you so much for your support. Lots of love. This is Trigger. Adios. out and down.